What's up guys, this is Lance Corey and welcome back to another Thrashin Supply bike check. Today behind me we have the all new 2022 Harley-Davidson Low Rider ST. This bike is rad. I was actually the one to shoot a lot of the intro photos when this bike first came out. Some of the motion stuff, some of the still photos. We shot it down here in downtown LA, so I felt like it was only fitting that we did my ST's bike check in the same location. This bike, one thing that's original and very new to 2022 for Harley-Davidson is throwing this fairing on the Softail model. It's an all new design fairing and it actually works really well. I put the Clockworks windshield on it, and with that I'm 5'9". The wind goes just right at about my head height, so it does flow over my helmet. I'm comfortable on the road. When I'm sitting on this bike, you can get an idea of where that wind's gonna flow when it hits that flip, just right over my head. And I put the Thrashin 9.5-inch pullback risers with our mid-bend bars. And you can see at 5'9", with the Saddleman seat, I'm really comfortable. My hands are super comfortable. I've ridden this bike on 2,000-mile trips to Arizona, all around and back. I've been putting miles on this bike just kind of around town. It's been a really fun bike. One thing you might notice is that this bike did not come with this gauge. This is our all new gauge relocation with the Low Rider S gauge in use. So I removed the normal ST gauge that is inside of the top tree, and then I put the S gauge on it. All it really requires is the new gauge and a new cable, which we have the cable on our website. We have the gauge relocation on our website. As for the gauge, you do need to get that from your Harley-Davidson dealer. Up on these handlebars, you can see the Thrashin Supply Handlebar Bag Plus. That's one of my favorite bags. I love rolling around with sunglasses. You can see, boom, my sunnies are in here right now. This little pouch is actually microfiber lined, so it'll keep your glasses from getting scratched up. And you have whatever you need inside of this bag. Normally right now, I would be carrying the GoPro because we're out doing a vlog. Up on the handlebars, we also have the Thrashin Supply grips and the Thrashin Supply Billet Perch clamps. So one cool thing about the Thrashin Supply grips is they're actually a thinner diameter than even the stock grips. And what I really like about the thinner grips is it has more of a motocross feel. I'm not gripping such a thick grip. Easier on your hands, easier on your forearms, and honestly, a much better feeling to ride with a grip like this. As you saw, between the grips and the bar bag, brown, so I went with a brown Saddleman step-up seat with the tuck and roll. This seat's very comfortable. It puts you in a nice position. And the cool thing about adding this seat to your bike, it adds a passenger area for somebody to sit. This bike's stock came with just a single seat. So adding the passenger seat was nice. It's also nice even for just a single rider to be able to have another location to kind of go back and sit when you are riding 400 or 500 mile days. Along with the passenger seat, we added the passenger pegs. This is not stock, so we grabbed this from Harley, and then we set up our pegs with P54s from Thrashin Supply on the rear and the front. These pegs offer tons of grip while also offering a nice cutaway on the bottom to add ground clearance to improve cornering and make it to where you don't drag your pegs. Let's talk about suspension. That's also something with comfort. So I loaded up the front end with the Legends cartridge kit. I did set it on only the preload of 0, which is how it comes stock. That's supposed to be for any rider that's under 250 pounds. So far, I've been loving it. I've noticed even on my aggressive riding, like wheelies and stuff like that, that if I do set the front end down hard, it's taking that abuse a little bit better than the stock setup was. And honestly, the stock setup when we were taking it out was very thin, small pieces, and this is a very robust internal cartridge kit that went inside. Digging that. We move further to the back of the bike. We put a Legends shock on the rear. So the stock shock, it's about the exact same height. So the bike didn't change in a height difference. But what I noticed, it's a Meteor shock that you can tell it doesn't blow through the stroke as easily. So I've noticed that even riding wheelies, it feels like the tire gets more traction. Riding in the corners, I feel like I get more planted and I'm not getting as much hop. So I'm really happy with my suspension upgrades on this bike. But then after suspension, let's talk about power. This bike, the 117, is a monster out of the box. Seriously, for a bike from Harley-Davidson that has this type of power on this light of a chassis, this thing hauls. Like any Harley rider, we gotta throw an exhaust on it. We gotta make it a little bit louder, sound better. So we throw the Thrashin Supply Anti-Reversion exhaust on it, and then we went with the Fueling BA air filter. Both of these components definitely improved torque and horsepower. What I did to this bike so far is I put the Vance & Hines fuel pack on this bike. That way that the air fuel ratio was proper and the bike wasn't running too rich or too lean. I honestly have not dyno tested it yet. yet, so I couldn't give you actual numbers of what this has done, but I can tell you the bike has woken up. And I can also tell you that we've tested and dyno proven that this exhaust system works. Our website shows the dyno sheets when we developed it back in 2018. We know it's strong, it's solid, and I'm really happy with it. I can see one day maybe doing a cam just to wake it up even more, but even right now, you guys see me getting the front end up, doing burnouts, riding it hard. It's a really fun bike to ride. So over on the left side of the bike, we call it the B side. It's not, you know, the glory side with the exhaust and the cooler angle. We did spruce it up with the Thrashin billet shift arm and the billet shifter tip, and we added the Thrashin adjustable linkage. Putting those three components together, removing the rubber off the shifter tip and putting an adjustable linkage on the linkage area, it allows for exact detail of where you want your shifter tip to be. You can fine tune it. And with the billet on the shifter tip, it takes away the rubber absorbing that you feel when you shift, and it's a more immediate feel. So all in all, between the shifter tip, the adjustable linkage, billet shift lever, and the P54s, I have a more aggressive feel to foot peg and to shifter area. Another addition that we did that I haven't really even used that much, and I'm not even sure how much I like it, we threw on the Roxford Fosgate stereo from Harley-Davidson. So you bolt it in there. You know, I know that we can maybe get some sort of switches to be able to control the radio, but what I don't like is that when I start my bike, whatever song was last playing on my phone, it just starts playing out of the radio. So then I gotta pull my phone out, pause it, because sometimes I don't want to listen to music. But it does work. I don't think it'll work too well over 65 miles an hour, to be completely honest. So I've just been using my headset unit and listening to music through the Cardo. But we did install it to check it out. You know, we ordered it right when we bought the bike. Kind of felt like this bike needed a radio. That kind of squares it up with the mods that I've done with this bike. One thing to kind of talk about on this bike itself is I am falling in love with it. It is kind of like my go-to bike right now. I love that it does have bags. I love that it does have a fairing. It rides really smooth. It's fast. I do kind of gravitate to the Low Rider ST when I walk in the shop over the full-size bagger or the Dyna, because it really just blends both, best of both worlds, and I've really been enjoying riding the Low Rider ST. So thank you guys for checking it out. I hope this pumped you up. Whether you're on the fence for getting one or not, or you already have one and you're kind of debating on what parts to put, check this stuff out and enjoy the ride.